Hi, everyone. I'm Wiley Blevins, Senior Vice President and Associate Publisher at Reycraft Books, and I would like to welcome you to our Spring 2025 list. But before I jump into our new books, I want to remind you about some of our Fall 2024 stars and bestsellers, including Freedom's Game, an NCSS CBC 2025 Notable Social Studies winner, and Mi Tierra, the first book in the Amaya Nunez series, which received recognition from the Charlotte Huck Award Committee. Now on to our new books for spring 2025. And we're starting with one of my favorites, Babies Are Not Bears, an adorable picture book written by Linda Raven Lotting, illustrated by Laura Dombret, available April 24th. Babies and bears have a lot in common. They're both cute and cuddly. They both like to color and play peekaboo. They both eat porridge and dress up for Halloween, but babies are not bears, although they do have a lot in common, as you'll see in this book. Detailed descriptions and whimsical artwork show just how alike babies and bears are and how to spot the difference in this humorous book. Let's take a peek at our main characters, the baby and the bear. They do look a lot alike, but rest assured they are different. However, you might get a little confused because they like to do some of the same things, as you will see through some of the gorgeous three-dimensional interior art. But rest assured, by the end, you will realize that babies are indeed not bears. Some key features of this book: it is ideal for preschool and kindergarten. In fact, I think every preschool classroom must have this book. It's adorable and humorous. It reads like a big, warm, cuddly hug. It is a perfect read aloud for parents and grandparents. And it's a great way to introduce, compare, and contrast skills for our young students. Our next book is Build a Sandcastle, a nonfiction picture book written by Eileen Rajla Meyer, illustrated by Manika Musil, available April 24th. Slip on your flip-flops, head to the beach, and have a whale of a good time building a sandcastle. Let this book be your guide for how to build one, complete with helpful tips from a friendly starfish. So pack up your shovels and buckets, invite a friend, and head out for a perfect sunny day at play. But don't forget your sunscreen. Let's take a peek inside this book. What I love about it, it has lyrical text. Build a sandcastle in the sand. Ask a friend to lend a hand. Joining in a day of fun, celebrating the sun. So the main text has this rhythm to it that children will really enjoy. But there's a sidebar, these 5-star tips from your starfish friend that give you some additional information about how to build a sandcastle. The art is cloth that's been carefully sewn together. It has a textured three-dimensional feel that makes this book really special. Here's some other interior pictures. And a little bit of extra back matter. Some key features of Build a Sandcastle: it's science nonfiction. It has rhyming text perfect for reading aloud. It's basically a how-to book, and it has some additional back matter for our young readers. Our next book, Why the Turtle Walks So Slowly, a Cuban folktale adapted and retold, is a Cuban folktale written by Sandra Martin Denis, illustrated by Aristides Hernandez, also known as Aries, a very popular illustrator. It pubs on May 6th. Long ago, turtles did not have shells and were fast. In fact, Tortuga, the turtle, was one of the fastest runners in his village. But he was not quite as fast or respected as the leader of the village, Mabela. When Tortuga sees a sorcerer's gift to Mabela, a mysterious magical drum, he hatches a plan to steal it from her. But his jealousy will have disastrous consequences. In this retelling of a traditional Cuban folktale, learn how turtles got their shells. So this is a Cuban pourquoi tale. Let's take a look at some of the stunning art, the colors and the shapes. They just have this wonderful Latin American feel that brings this book to life and makes it quite special. Simply gorgeous. Look at all the hues of blue. Wow. Some key features of this book: it's a Cuban pourquoi tale, a Latinx author and illustrator, and is a perfect addition to your folktale collections. This is one children will love. Our next book is Jinx, a humorous picture book by Evelyn Bookless, illustrated by Anna Sussbayer. It is available also on May 6th. A storybook character challenges you, the reader, to a game, resulting in a jinx forbidding you to talk. Can you remain silent for the remainder of the book and get released from the jinx? Or is this book simply too funny and surprising to hold in your giggles and screams? Turn the pages to find out. This is a book young readers, I'm warning you, will want to read again and again and again to see if they can escape the jinx. Let's take a peek at our humorous storytelling character who breaks the fourth wall and some of the illustrations where he is challenging the reader in very funny, exaggerated, dramatic ways. Just fun, playful, and adorable. Some key features of this book: it's a laugh out loud, game-like text with a lovable main character. It breaks that fourth wall, and those books are always really interesting for our young readers, and it is the ideal read aloud. Our next book is Daddy Daughter Day, a picture book written by Dorothy H. Price, illustrated by Brian M. Wilson, and it features this loving relationship between an African-American father and his daughter. It's Saturday, and that means it's time for Daddy Daughter Day surprise, a bus ride into New York City. Instead of the usual sights, the duo hops on a subway to Harlem and walk to a building across the street from where Daddy was born, the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, a national landmark. There, Daddy introduces this little girl to important people from the past: Katherine Johnson, Wilma Rudolph, Ruby Bridges, and many, many more. The girl's memorable day ends with a sense of pride and something even better, a snuggle hug from Daddy. Let's take a peek inside. This artist previously did a series of fathers and daughters, and we just fell in love with his brushstrokes and his use of color, and you can just feel the emotions through those brushstrokes and those colors as you read this book. Simply stunning. Some key features: African-American author and illustrator. It has an urban setting with a strong history connection that will springboard into other books about the people who are mentioned. And it is a really warm father-daughter story, and we could use more of those. Our next book is Saving Hawaii's Hanu. It is a nonfiction picture book written by Leslie Ann Hayashi, illustrated by Kelly Poussette. It is available June 30th. When George Balaz saw his first green sea turtle, or Hanu, his life changed forever. He moved to Hawaii to study the beautiful animals, but was concerned by what he found in restaurants and stores: turtle soup, turtle steaks, even turtle shell jewelry. So George asked the question, how many Hanu are left in Hawaii? What happened next was the journey of a lifetime. George lived on remote beaches, learning from the turtles and advocating for their protection, all to save Hawaii's Hanu from extinction. So this is a picture book biography. Let's take a peek inside. One of the things that's really amazing about this book is the illustrator uses three-dimensional paper cuts. It's like every spread is a diorama that you're stepping inside. And she gave the turtles very distinct and loving personalities, which will really pull in the reader's emotions as they go through this book. There is photographic back matter that adds even more details to extend the learning about the life cycle of a turtle. Some key features: it's a nonfiction biography. It has a natural science with environmental focus, Asian author, and the subject of the biography, and it has rich photo back matter. Our next book is truly unique. It's Swap a Word, Fun with Sound Alike Words, a book about homophones. It's a concept book written by the Marvin Turbin and illustrated by Andreas Whitman. It is available June 10th. Now, you've probably heard Marvin Turbin's name before because he is known as Scholastic's Professor Grammar. He's written books like Checking Your Grammar, Dictionary of Idioms, Dictionary of Spelling. Each of these books has sold over 1 million copies each. So he is an author that children have probably seen books from in their classrooms. A must-have reference book for every classroom, this unique game-like homophone book takes a visually imaginative look at the many sound-alike words in English. Readers will pore over each illustration as they guess the humorous related image on the next page. Back matter encourages readers to extend the learning and fun. So what I have here are the two related pages. You don't see them on a spread. You'll see one and you'll read the phrase measure the flower. You see flower, Flour, and you think, well, what would the homophone be? Measure the flower, Flower. You turn the page and you see an imaginative illustration of what that might look like. These are just out of the box, dynamic kinds of pictures that will spark students' imagination, but also help them connect those spellings of those homophones to their meanings. Here you have, I have many hairs. You see all these beautiful stamps of hairs. And then you see the spaghetti hairs, which are just incredible. Spray all your ants. What a waste. And many, many more. Some key features of this book, it's a unique, truly unique reference book for writing classrooms by a best-selling author. It focuses on homophones. Every classroom from kindergarten on up needs a book on homophones, and it has some back matter that it also extends the learning. So it has a lot of applicability to teachers' writing lessons. Our next book, One Drop, might very well be my favorite because of the match between the text and the illustrations. It is a truly special look at the water cycle. It's a nonfiction picture book written by Caitlin Sykes and illustrated by Mel Seri. It's available April 24th. Zing, zap, plop. Through lyrical text, this visually stunning nonfiction book traces a drop of water from cloud to aquifer, from underground stream to marsh, from lake to river, from ocean to strait, past icebergs and waterfalls and beaches, until finally back to cloud. Back matter and glossary provide additional facts. I can't wait to share with you some of these interior illustrations. Here again, the text is very lyrical. Gray clouds gather, one drop of water waves, thunder rumbles, zing, zap, plop. It just has a rhythm and a movement to the text, but the illustrations, the colors and the graphic nature of them really sucks you in a way that is visually pleasing and very, very powerful. This might very well be my favorite picture in the entire book because of the movement and the use of color. Some key features of this book: it's a science nonfiction picture book, innovative art and design, lyrical text, and back matter with additional information, including a detailed glossary. The next book is The Pone Path, a Caribbean picture book written by Caribbean author Nisa Bailey and illustrated by Daniel O'Brien. It is available May 10th. A bunny and an ocelot forge a pact about who can cook the tastiest cassava pone. The stakes couldn't be higher. Will they end up as friends, or will the bunny become dinner? Uh-oh. Find out in this deliciously hilarious romp from Trinidadian author Nisa Bailey. What I love about this book is that it is created in a comic book sort of format. Each spread has these speech bubbles and the relationship between these two characters. I want more books with these characters. They have a really interesting back and forth throughout this book, and you never really know what's going to happen. Is the bunny safe, or will the bunny become the next meal? You have to wait to the end to find out. And of course, there is a recipe at the end because this book is all about food. Some key features of this book: it does have this classic folktale feel, which is really interesting to me. It's by a Caribbean author and illustrator. It has this comic book format that children love. It is absolutely hilarious. It has a tremendous amount of drama. It makes for a perfect read aloud theater in the classroom. And of course, that delicious recipe. Who can resist that? Our next book is The Book of Hands. And this is a very different conceptual book. It's written by Fatima Fernandez Mendez and illustrated by Violeta Cano. It's available June 10th. This lyrical book with sparse text examines how hands are used to greet, to create, to heal, and so much more, leaving every reader to ponder how their hands will leave a positive mark on the world. This is one of those books that spans ages. You can use it for very young children. You can use it for students who are much, much older because of the conceptual link and the springboard into lots of discussions and writing about how we contribute to our world. There are steps you can only take holding hands. The hands that care, the hands that create, the hands that build, Look at this art, the colors and the lushness of it. Some key features in this book. It is a thought-provoking picture book for all ages, Latinx author and illustrator. It has a really strong immigration link, which I find really pertinent to our times, and it is a great springboard for writing. Now let's move into some books for slightly older readers. We have the second book in our early chapter book series, Weekend in Zay. It is called Snow Day, written by Raquel Lowo and illustrated by Christian Paniagua. Weekend and Zay are excited for a snow day. Weekend more than Zay, who hates missing school, but their plans of friendly snowball fights and building forts might be ruined by threats from a neighborhood bully. Undaunted, the two friends use their intelligence and ingenuity to get the upper hand on their nuisance neighbor. It doesn't hurt that a home security camera has captured the bully's rare defeat. Aha, we like video evidence. Will the threat of a viral video finally bring peace to the neighborhood? Well, you'll have to read to find out. Here's a look at some of the interior pages, some of which do have some interesting spot art that shows the action and really help you connect better to the main characters. Here again, it's an early chapter book in our popular Weekend in Zay series. Key features, it's an early chapter book, features contemporary African-American kids, and it is the second book in the series. Our next book is also the second book in an early chapter book series. This is the Osage Twin series. The first book, The Trickster in the Vase, received a starred review. Now we have The Talking Drum. This book was written by Sophia Ezomohin and illustrated by Sanjay Charlton. It is available in August 19th. Twins Eddie and Nosa are challenged to perform at the school talent show. Only one problem. Nosa doesn't think he has any talent. When Grandpa Sonny suggests he play the shikiri, an instrument from Nigeria, the author is Nigerian and she brings a lot of Nigerian culture into the books, which is what makes them so special. Nosa agrees, but struggles to play it well. Frustrated, Baba shows him a talking drum he played years ago in Africa to encourage him. It's a much cooler instrument to Nosa, but Baba warns him not to touch it. You can see where this is going. If you start playing this talking drum alone, people will begin dancing and can't stop. On the day of the talent show, Nosa sneaks the talking drum out of its case and into school, and as soon as he starts playing, people burst into dance. Uh-oh. But they can't stop. A big uh-oh. What will Nosa do to stop the chaos, and how much trouble is he in this time? Each book, the boys get into a little bit of trouble, but they find their way out, usually. You'll see in this book. So here's some interior pages, some key features. It's an early chapter book with this Nigerian hook because the author is Nigerian. Features contemporary kids and has a strong music focus that will bring a lot of joy to the reading and is the second book in this really popular series. Speaking of popular series, our next early chapter book is by the New York Best Time selling author Nikki Grimes and illustrated by Uzo Njoku. It is available June 3rd. It's called Loser, a Diamond Daniel book. So Nikki Grimes published a series of Diamond Daniel books years ago. They were very, very popular, and then they stopped making more, and she's always wanted to bring this series back to life. So she came to us to do that. And so this is the fifth book in the series. What's this about? Diamond and her best friend Free compete over everything from sports to homework to setting the dinner table. Their bets are normally fun, but after Diamond goes on a winning and bragging streak, things turn rocky. Free stops coming over. He won't return her calls. Then suddenly he starts hanging out with other kids in the neighborhood. With their friendship at risk, Diamond must work to follow her mother's advice. Sorry is good, but sorry can't fix everything. So will she retain her friendship? Here's a look at some of the interior pages. The chapter openers have this beautiful, colorful art, and there's a little bit of art throughout, but it is for older readers, so there isn't a whole lot. Some key features is by New York Times bestselling author Nikki Grimes, features contemporary African-American children. It's the relaunching of a former series with a really good following. There are people out there who've been asking for more books in the series, so this is book 5, and book 6 is coming really soon. It has an urban setting, and it is a strong friendship story. Really excited about the relaunch of the series. Speaking of series, We have the third book in our middle grade Infinity Blast series, Infinity Blast and the Labyrinth of Time, written by Brad Wright, illustrated by Daniel O'Brien, available May 13th. Infinity, Twilight, and Gabe have arrived back for another year at the Space Academy. Any hope for a quiet year of studying in space flight vanishes when the trio is kidnapped by the Grelian Emperor. He wants to throw them into the Labyrinth of Time, a place from which no one has ever escaped. Will the trio, aided by Lily and Tess, manage to be the first to leave the labyrinth alive? This is high stakes. And keep in mind, these characters, they're mixed race, neurodiverse, and this is one of those science fiction series that young readers really get excited about. Here's a look at some of the interior pages. There's just a little bit of art in these, but most of the pages look like this with some really, really cool black and white art to bring some of these characters to life. This looks absolutely terrifying and super exciting. Some key features, it's the third book in this popular series. It's science fiction, and it features neurodiverse and biracial characters. And that's a look at our spring 2025 books, but I would be remiss if I don't tell you about some exciting things coming in fall. We are launching a new series of books underneath the Reycraft imprint called Reycraft Schoolhouse. People have been asking us to write books that are super tightly connected to the literature, science, and social studies standards in their specific grades. And so we have a whole bunch of books coming out. We're going to be publishing books every season in this new Reycraft Schoolhouse series. You see some of them, like a Nancy and the Magic Pot in second grade. You have to read tales from diverse cultures around the world and variations of tales and so on. So it fits perfectly to that curriculum. You see books on sound, A Journey Through Sound. There are years when you have to study sound waves and light waves and heat waves. And so this fits perfectly into that curriculum. A Trip to the Barbershop is all about community economics and so on. But that's not all. Shortly after we launch Reycraft Schoolhouse, we are launching Mi Escuela Reycraft, which is our Spanish line of books. We're finally able to we brought you some already, but this is a new imprint dedicated to those books that can fit tightly into your curriculum. A few of these books are trans adaptations of our English titles, but most of them are original Spanish titles by well-known Spanish writers and illustrators. And you see some of the gorgeous covers here. So keep your eye out. A lot of great English titles coming out, a lot of great Spanish titles in this line, all tightly connected to the content standards, literature, social studies, and science in those specific elementary grades. And that's it. I thank you for joining me, and I wish you happy reading.